Has said that we are a nation, black and white, separate and unequal. It's nearly 30 years later. Has anything changed? That's what we're talking about. Before I move on, I want to go to Ed Lawson because you wanted to respond to the statistics Melinda just gave us. Ed?
Yes, the statistics that the gentleman just gave us are typifying what he's done through the entire program, which is creating his own fantasies and then believing them. You have to understand that the numbers that he gave you were not numbers about black people committing crimes. They were numbers about poor people committing crimes. They were numbers about uneducated people committing crime. And moreover than that, even the crimes that Americans who are black commit, they commit them not against the whites who are in the suburbs dying of fear. Blacks traditionally commit crimes against blacks as every other group of people do.
But wait a second.
If his theory was correct, let me one more point.
Okay.
If white fear was based on the belief of violence from blacks, then the whites who were the furthest away from black America would have the least fear. The whites in the suburbs, the whites in Iowa, and the whites who were the closest to them would have the greatest fear. The foundation of white fear of the black man in this country is not based on any belief that we are going to act violently against them. Historically, in every instance where there has been black, white violence, blacks have died in great number, whites have died not at all.
But wait a second, Ed. Well, wait a second. But wait, hold on a second. But what about the issue of violence in the black community? Even if it is black on black crime, you dismiss it as though it's black on black crime and it's just poor people committing the crimes. It doesn't give it any more validity. Crime is crime and it's wrong.
Well, that's interesting. No, crime is not crime and crime is not wrong. Take a look at the crimes. Why on earth is it against the law for someone to be in possession of marijuana, but a daiquiri is fine? Did we create those laws? Why is it that if you have two people, both of whom are in possession of 1 ounce of marijuana, that statistically, if one of those persons is white, one of those persons is black, all the way through the justice system, there is racism. The likelihood of the policeman arresting them, the black person will be arrested, the white will not. The likelihood of them going to jail and being sentenced.
The Sentencing Project just released a report last week that 1 in 3 black American males are most likely to be in the criminal justice system, and it corroborates what Ed is saying. But what about the issue of crime in the black community, that black on black crime that you're describing? Even if it's that selling of drugs, committing of murders, drive-by shootings, gang-related crimes, those are all real crimes in the community. It's not just about an ounce of marijuana or an ounce of cocaine.
But what it is about dollars and cents. It's about a community which is not suffering because it is black, it is suffering because it is poor, it is suffering because it has never controlled its own community, and to look at it in racial terms is to basically exhibit discrimination against blacks.
Let me get my next guest.
Where we are prosperous, we do as well as anyone else.
Joining us now is Brother Prophet. He's a community activist who lectures at high schools and communities on racism and violence. Now, Brother Prophet says one of the answers to solving the racial conflict is to remain separate. What do you mean, remain separate?
First of all, let me say peace and pay homage and respect to all of my ancestors that laid their lives on the line so that I can feel a little prouder and shout a little louder. To the unsung and unseen heroes and sheroes in the struggle. And let me say hotep to my brothers and sisters in the audience. To answer your question.
What does hotep mean?
Peace.
Peace.
It's another word for peace. Hotep, Denise.
Thank you.
What we have to look at, first of all, is that in the 60s, we was invited to dinner. And at that meal, we was given a false plate of integration. And I'm saying that I'm full, and I will excuse myself from your table. This society has never, ever adopted nor accepted integration. The fact that we was brought over here in 1555 to Jamestown, Virginia, and from 1555 to 1995, we have gone through 440 years of slavery.
All right, let's
440 years of torment, 440 years of murder, simply and solely because we are black.
But it's 1995.
Now, that reality was one of a white supremacist way of thinking. So black people have never, ever, the brother mentioned that when you had a white crime and black crime or white and black violence, black people have died in mass numbers and whites have not. That's the absolute truth. So now I say to you that I'm full. I'm tired of seeking justice where there is none.
All right, so where do we go from here, as you see it?
Yesterday I had the honor to be with 2 million black men down in Washington, D.C. Yesterday,
Now, the
I
numbers
had
are
the
disputed.
honor.
It could be 400,000 to 2
was
million.
you there, Denise?
I wasn't there.
I was there, and there was 2 million black men.
Excuse me. Wait a second. Did you count the 2 million, Brother Prophet?
It was 2 million black men in Washington, D.C., but that takes us to another piece.
Yeah.
That takes us to a whole other issue, because the media says 400,000. Because they
No, the state park rangers say it.
They refuse to say that finally black men are standing up and saying no more to this foolishness.
All right,
Hold on, wait a minute. Bill, one of your callers, Bill, said that the march was good for black people, but was bad for the relationship between blacks and whites. Why? Because since we got here, the relationship between blacks and whites have been whites using black people for as much as they can. If you look at sports, you got a lot of brothers out there making millions of dollars in sports, but getting used and pimped. So if I can pay you $30 million, how much am I making off you? So now he said it wasn't good. Hold on, listen. He said it wasn't a good relationship for blacks and whites. Why? Because if we stand up, if black men stand up, if the black community stand up, we would not be used. We would not be pimped. Therefore, the economic system in America shall fall.
But let's talk about the separation. Give us a picture of the separation that you're talking about.
First of all, you mentioned black on black crime. Why is it?
What's the separation?
Let me answer to the best of
Because I want to get the other guests in.
You brought me on here to explain myself, so let me explain it the best I can. When you rob a people of a knowledge of self, they begin to take on the characteristics of those who they were conquered by.
That's right.
So in 1995, slavery is still a reality. In 1995, black people are lost and blinded to the knowledge of self. When I say a black state, I'm not talking about us all moving down to Atlanta, us all moving to Texas, or any place else for that matter, because in theory, or in reality rather, all of the 196,940,000 square miles of this planet belong to the black man and woman. So I'm not talking about it. I'm not talking about us physically moving anywhere, but I'm talking about us mentally moving somewhere.
Okay.
I'm talking about us separating truth from falsehood. I'm talking about us coming up out of the idea of being a servitude slave of a slave master and becoming the powerful people that we once
What
were.
you're saying, because what Ed has been saying, and even what I've said on News Talk Television,
Yes,
this is all about economics. This is about if you've got money. Wait. Let me finish. Hold on. You had your turn. It's about economics. It's about if you have money, then
Are you telling me this?
I'm asking.
No, I'm
If
saying
you
no.
have money, it's not about economics?
No, because let me tell you, if it was solely about economics, O.J. Simpson wouldn't have went through what he went through. If it was solely about economics, Michael Jackson wouldn't have gone through what he has gone through. Because the reality is, let me just...
We've got to go to a break. You can tell us about the reality when we come back. Reality from Brother Prophet. Stay with us, folks.